Hey guys, back here with another video. I wanted to show you guys the top jailbreak tweaks that I've been using so far for the past year. They're compatible with most versions of iOS, but to be quite honest with you, I've been really running iOS 13 to use all of these, so they potentially might not work for iOS 12 or 11, but you can try them. So let's get started. Before I start the video, I just want to show you guys the sources that I do use for my jailbreaks. So for my tweaks, basically I use these main ones. And another thing I want to mention is I really use Installer now. I don't really use Cydia anymore because I just feel like Cydia is not as modern, and it does feel slower to me, and it just it's kind of outdated in my opinion. So I would definitely recommend using Installer. But these are the sources that I ultimately use. Hack Your iPhone is probably the most important one because it allows you to get some paid tweaks so you can kind of try them before paying for them. Although I have paid for a bunch of tweaks because sometimes Hack Your iPhone doesn't have them, and sometimes they're just worth paying for because they just cost dollars. They're not really that expensive. So these are the ones that I actually have on my phone. So not that much. And I'll show you guys the tweaks. Alright, so the first tweak that I really like using on my iPhone is called QuitAll. This is a very basic tweak, but it's super useful, and I'm actually not sure why it wasn't included with the original iPhone when it was made. But basically, after you use an app, instead of having to, or several apps rather, when you use multiple apps, instead of having to just close one by one, you can just use this function to clear and basically close all of them. The nice thing about this is it's smart enough to know that if you have music on, you probably don't want to close it. So you can close your music manually, but it will close all your other apps, so you're not wasting space and your iPhone isn't running slowly. So that's the first one. The second tweak that I really like on my iPhone is called ColorFlow. You might have heard about this one because it's super popular. And honestly, for all the music heads, like, this is a revolutionary tweak. It's really cool. What it does is it will take the background color of the music album that you're listening to and basically use that to theme your lock screen and your music app. And it's super cool because it does it seamlessly. There's no lag. There was really no glitches with this. It's working fine. The one I have is ColorFlow 5 for iOS 13. I believe that there are other versions of it just in case you have something or a different version of iOS, so you can definitely look through. But this is by far my favorite tweak because it looks so good when you're using it. And also, if you have Apple CarPlay in your car, this tweak does work as well, so it even looks nicer on that dashboard when you're driving.
Back with the remix.
The next tweak is very simple, actually. It's called UltraSound, and all it does is customize the volume HUD, and so it doesn't make it as ugly as it usually is. It's a really nice tweak because I think the one that we have now for the volume isn't that pretty. This one's really nice. Another tweak that I really like to use is called SmallSiri. Again, the name explains exactly what it is. SmallSiri is better than the big obstructive Siri that Apple for some reason thought was the way to go with Siri, which everybody knows. Every once in a while you'll open it inadvertently and it's just super annoying. Sometimes there's a little lag to it. The SmallSiri, even if you open it accidentally, it doesn't block what you're doing. It's not as frustrating when you accidentally hit it. Obviously in iOS 14 this is something that's been implemented, but with if you still have iOS 13 like me, this is something that's super useful, and I definitely recommend getting it. Another tweak that I really like using is called ColorBanners. I use ColorBanners 3 at this point. Super beautiful tweak. Basically, whenever you have a notification, whether it's messages, Instagram notification or whatnot. Basically, this is the tweak that allows you to have these really colorful, cool banners that make the phone come alive instead of just the basic dull one. ColorBanners 3 and ColorFlow 5 are actually by the developer David Goldman. And both are just incredibly useful to the iPhone because it does bring it alive. And it's actually one of the reasons I jailbroke my phone was because it looked really basic for a long time. But once you have these tweaks, you just feel like your phone just becomes much more personalized, much more colorful. So it's really useful. So another tweak I like to use is called SleepyTime. Again, this is a very simple, basic tweak, but it's pretty cool. What it does is if you are going to sleep at for example, 12 a.m. and you have to get up at 8 a.m., it does like a countdown for the 8 hours that you have to sleep. So it's one of those things that just if you have you're curious about something or you kind of want to see how much time left you have until the countdown for your alarm is done, then you could go ahead and use this one. It's useful, for example, if you set an alarm for something and you're just curious how much time is almost left on that before it's done, then definitely something you want to use. A tweak I also like using is called MathTeacher. Basically, it enhances your calculator and it gives it a better look than the native one. And so it has this nice bright white color to it, and it has a few extra abilities that you could use. So you could use like a paste option, so you could long click on something to paste it. It's fully customizable in the settings, so it has all of these things that allow you to lay it out for animations. You could actually have a dark mode if you don't want the white, and then allows you to customize like the scientific keypad or the keypad. So a bunch of stuff that actually comes into this. So instead of just a generic calculator that we get, this one kind of takes it to the next level. So something I would definitely recommend, especially if you're using your calculator a lot. Like, for example, at work, I have to use my calculator a lot. This is something that just gives it a little bit more spice. And especially if you're a student, for example. A tweak that's nice if you have Apple CarPlay is called Canvas. So this developer, he actually has two tweaks. One called Canvas, which allows you to have CarPlay wallpapers. So if you ever noticed with CarPlay and Apple CarPlay, you can't really select anything that's, for example, that matches with your car. So I have a black car that I want to customize. So with Canvas, with the CarPlay wallpapers, you're able to download any wallpaper you can think of on the internet and use that as your background. For example, I personally like to use a black Galaxy wallpaper that really fits with the interior of my car. So you can use whatever wallpaper you want, but it's really nice because it gives you that option that for some reason doesn't come with the car, doesn't come with CarPlay. BetterWidgets is one of those cool tweaks that I feel like could be a little bit underrated. I definitely didn't know about it for a long time. But it allows you to enhance the widgets that you have in various ways. You can see the options here. You can have expanded widgets, square widgets, transparent widgets, kind of just to customize the padding, the buttons there, the colors. For me personally, I just like to use it because I like to make mine square widgets, which I think looks cleaner with my phone. But you could use it for a number of reasons. So it's one of those that you definitely want to grab and use because, again, it helps you, the customization of your phone. It can help you make it look a lot cleaner. So Shuffle is a really nice tweak because what it does is it groups all of the kind of settings that you have, whether it's tweaks, apps, or system apps, and the other settings as well. And it allows you to kind of organize them, which I think is critical for people who do jailbreak, for example, who want to know what their tweaks are. Another tweak I like to use is called AppsManager. AppsManager is nice because it allows you to have a control over certain apps that you would otherwise not have. When I say that, I mean, for example, and the main reason I've used it is if you open certain apps and you're kind of stuck with something, the cache or something, or it has your account stuck on something, for example, this allows you to actually clear the data that they have stored on your phone so that you can go ahead and reset it and basically as if you're opening the app for the first time again. But you have to be cautious when you use this, because if you're using it on any app, what it does, it's going to clear out the memory so much so that whatever login you have, you're going to get logged out of. So if you don't remember your password, or you're not good with remembering your passwords, for example, just be careful when you use this, because you will be logged out. And if you can't remember your password for whatever reason, you'll have trouble getting back in. But again, it's really cool because you can not only wipe data, but you can back up, you can restore data. And those are the three main functions of it. To be quite honest with you, I've never used the backup or restore function. I've only used it to wipe certain data on certain apps that, for example, I no longer use. The next two tweaks actually go hand in hand, in my opinion, and so I'll just mention them in the same clip. So TagExplorer, this is a tweak that allows you to edit the metadata for the tags for songs in your library. So anything you can think of, really, song title, the artist, and it all syncs without having to, resync from iTunes and edit them that way. So if you're a music head like me and you have a bunch of songs and you like editing, this is the tweak. Deja Vu is another, or Deja Vu 2 rather, is the name of the tweak. It's another great tweak for music heads because it allows you to stop adding duplicate songs to your playlists. So if you have a playlist, as we know without the tweak, if you're adding songs and, for example, you just don't have a good memory, you can't remember what song you just added and you add it again, it'll just add it as a duplicate, which is, again, very annoying if you're trying to make a listenable playlist. This tweak allows you, it tells you before you add the song again, it tells you this has already been added, would you like to do it again? And you just say skip, and it's really nice because then you don't have any duplicates and the playlist is much more cleaner that way. So one tweak that I really like, well, it's not necessarily a tweak, it's actually a theme. It's called Lotus. I have the one that's called Lotus Revised because it looks like the person who made it just added a few other icons to Lotus. But Lotus is a really, really nice theme in my opinion because it just looks super clean. All the apps, the messaging, Firefox, the music app, all of the icons, in my opinion, are really clean. They don't do too much to it, to the icons, so I really like it. I would actually recommend it for you guys as well. Unless you have a better theme that you prefer, you can actually drop it in the comments, because I've been, just trying to search and see if there's anything else. But Lotus, for me, has been the one I've used for so long now. Unfortunately, it doesn't get updated as often as I wish it did. But that's okay. I mean, the release that they have now is perfect for most apps. There's still some icons that could use some changes, but I really like this theme. Okay, so another important tweak to have is AppSync Unified. The reason for that is because if you have AppCake, which is how you can get a lot of tweaked apps. For example, you get a tweaked Spotify using this. Basically, AppSync Unified will allow it so you don't have to sign this every time. It'll be infinitely signed in a way. And so you can get the apps that are in the AppCake whenever you need them to be downloaded on your phone, and you won't really have any issues that some people have when their phone isn't jailbroken. So it's one of the perks of being jailbroken is to be able to use AppCake and AppSync Unified in sync in a way and not have any issues with AppCake. Another tweak that I like using is called Prysm. Prysm is another one of those that's actually is really nice to have, and it really improves the look of your phone. Unfortunately, on this one, it's hard to get the unpaid version because it's just it's not as current. I think the developer does a good job also of making sure that this app is updated. and I think it's worth the buy. Again, it's a few bucks for these tweaks, honestly, if you want to support these developers that work pretty hard to release them. Prysm is nice. It just looks so much cleaner, in my opinion, than the traditional lock screen. Certain tweaks like this, for example, like Prysm, like ColorFlow or ColorBanners, these really differentiate your iPhone from your friend's iPhone, for example, because they just make your phone just pop out the colors, more vibrant, more alive. Another tweak that I like using is called Spectrum. Spectrum is nice because it gives you some interesting colors that you can actually play around with, that show up in like your messages, for example. So I have the Apollo one profile activated, so it gives you like a few different colors. However, you can actually go in and customize whatever you want, but you really have to know what your system colors are and kind of how to customize it before you use it. So I don't go too much into that. I just kind of use like a certain color. The reason I honestly use it is because it makes your messages, it changes the color slightly, which in my opinion can make a difference. It makes it look a little bit nicer. This is the blue I like to use, just because, and here's the hashtag for it. You guys can use that one. It just looks a little bit nicer than the traditional, colors, for example, that the iPhone gives you. So another tweak I enjoy using is called Fabric. Fabric is just another lock screen that allows you, or lock screen tweak that allows you to design your own lock screen. It actually has a lot of really cool features to it that you can actually completely redesign your lock screen. Unfortunately, I'm just not smart enough or have the dedication or time to go through and make a better lock screen. For me, I just keep it basic. I like to have the weather, which it allows you to have out there on the lock screen, which is really nice. And it does look pretty nice. It'll have like a little symbol like a cloud or a sun. And then the text on it, which you can change a little bit. So these are the big things that I like to change. And also like the city I'm currently located at. So I definitely would recommend Fabric. Again, this is one of those that I did pay for because honestly, it's just a few bucks and it's worth it. Unless you have a better lock screen tweak, which there are other ones that you could find on the on installer that might be free or cheaper. But I mean, Fabric is just so, in my opinion, so user friendly that I would recommend it above the others. So finally, the last tweak that I wanted to show you guys is called CallBar XS. I use the one, and this is for iOS 12 or 13. And this is really nice because it's something that they added in iOS 14 because of how many users wanted it. For me, it's awesome because you don't have to have that whole thing where they take up the entire screen for a call, as we know how annoying that can be. I believe there are a few other tweaks that do the same thing, but for me, this is the one that actually worked well. Again, this one will cost you a few bucks, but it's worth it because it really does work well. So, for example, like you'll use this. If somebody calls you, it'll be at the top there, so you don't have to deal with having to just wait until they stop calling you, for example, to resume what you're doing. So it's a really nice tweak, and also it has the functionality to let you bring up FaceTime while you're doing it and using it. So these are the tweaks that I use on my phone. That's 20 tweaks there, or was that 19? I'm not sure, but those to me are my favorite ones. Again, for a music heavy person and a guy who kind of likes the colors and customizations on an iPhone, these I thought were the best ones to have. As far as my battery life, obviously my battery's not doing too hot right now, but in general the battery life isn't affected too much by this. But I really do think these tweaks are like the ones I mentioned at least are at least must have. Like once you jailbreak your phone, try to get these ones. If there's a bunch of other tweaks too that I haven't really dove too much into because I also don't like having too many tweaks, because then I feel like you overload your phone, and sometimes they're just unnecessary. So give these a try. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any comments or any recommendations for tweaks that I don't have in this video, definitely let me know, because I do like trying to explore some. And then let me know if you have any video idea recommendations for me for the future. Thank you for watching, guys.